Hello YouTube, it's me, Brittany, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about recognizing, understanding, and dealing with conditional support, or acceptance. But before I do that, I want to say thanks to every single one of you guys who've already subscribed. I love every single one of you guys. If you did not notice yesterday, if you have not found me on Facebook, I will leave the link in the comments and descriptions for this video. I did a live video yesterday of some open mic comedy. It's about a 13-minute long video. Like I said, I'll leave it in the links. Go check it out at some of the comedy. I have not been able to perform because a lot of my shows have canceled on me. But if this is your first time watching me, I talk about a lot of trans issues, as well as I do promote a little bit of my comedy stuff that's coming up in the future, but mostly trans issues. So hit that subscribe button so you can watch more of my videos. Go back and watch some of the other stuff. Feel free to ask questions in the comments or anything like that. But let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Like I said, understanding, recognizing, and dealing with conditional support. So let's understand what conditional support is first. So conditional support is, it can come from anybody. So it can come from family, friends, co-workers, all types of things like this. But it's basically people who support you as best they can until it violates, and I don't want to say violates their rights or anything, just violates their focus or something that they just don't think is right or wrong. So conditionally they support you based off of okay, we don't care that you're trans, we're not gonna bother you, but like, you know, don't do this or don't do that. For me, I can, I know that when I worked at Walmart years and years ago, I had a lot of conditional supporters who said, hey, we're happy for you, but as soon as things went against me, they were happy to be like, oh no, fuck that bitch. And basically that's why the company fired me, because I was trans, and the people who were conditionally supporting me found out that there were more people who did not support me, and they said, well, fuck, I don't need to do this anymore. And I lost all that conditional support. So conditional support it comes a lot of times from people you don't necessarily suspect it, like coworkers, but it does come from family. For me, my conditional support as far as being trans, as far as my family, it's from my parents, I would say, but it's not necessarily for being trans. My mom has a little religious conditional things that she gets on, but for the most part, my mom has become very much unconditional supportive of me over the last like 2 or 3 years. It took her a while to come around, but now she has definitely become very much a big supporter of me. So my father is still definitely there, but when I say conditional support, that comes to me when it becomes to being a parent. So especially after I've transitioned. So before I transitioned, I had to meet all these demands in order for them to, my other parent, as well as my own parents, to feel confident in allowing me to have my child in my own custody. But since I've transitioned, the conditions have become even more strict, because I have to have a certain environment, and I personally, because of my lifestyle, doesn't fit the parental conditions to them. So like conditional support doesn't necessarily become have to be trans support. For being trans, it can come from any aspect of your life. So basically, it's difficult to recognize it, but it's easier in the long run. So you'll notice small things like, okay, yeah, they have my back and everything, but when it really comes right down to it, they're always going to find something that's going to make it so that I am not going to be in the right, or I'm not going to win this argument, or whatever is the issue here. So now that you can understand it and you kind of recognize it, of where it comes from, and what it looks like, how do we deal with it? So like there's the ultimate negative way of dealing with these things, and in certain aspects it's not that negative to do, but in certain aspects, it's also a really bad thing to try to cut somebody out of your life completely and cut them out. Now, with the coworkers at Walmart, the majority of them, I cut them out of my life. However, I knew there were a few that were not conditional supporters in there that did actually have my back, and I still keep in contact. When I go in town, I run into them at Walmart and I have conversations with them because they still work there, because it's a small town and that's how it works. But basically, um, I didn't cut everybody out. I just chose the minute aspects, minute people in my life, and I said cut those people out. Now, there are some people we just can't cut out, like our parents or you know, significant others, or you know, anything else, our best friends and stuff. Like, you don't want to cut them out because they're important aspects to your life. So how do you deal with that? Like, do you sit down and have conversations? And my parents, you know, as far as being trans, when it came to my parents, that's a lot of what happened and what I did for myself to get them to kind of come around. Now, as far as being a parent myself, it's been a lot more difficult. I've had a lot of arguments with them, but it just doesn't seem to be working in my favor. So I've just kind of come to terms that it's never going to. So, excuse me. But, you know, so now, because I don't want to cut them out of my life in that situation, like, I continue to try to be the best parent to my child that I can be. But whenever I feel that conditional support coming in, like, hey, we want you to be successful, but you need to do these, you need to do this, you know, this, and like, it's always going to be something that I'm never completely good enough in. So like, that's the conditional. So like, whenever I feel that, I just kind of, you know, smile and nod. I don't really argue to it anymore. I just kind of let them have their way. And I know that sounds like being, you know, a lot of you probably aren't going to be capable of being that submissive. I'm a very submissive person, but also with the addition of estrogen and HRT in my system, I've become very less confrontational. So like, that's really what it comes down to. It's like, I love these people and I don't want to be confrontational with them. So I'm going to let them think that they're doing what is right for me, and I know that it's not. And in the future, hopefully things will come out better for me. I still do the best I can to have the best relationship that I can with my child. And I'm hoping that in the future that will show, you know, when he's 19, 20, you know, in his early 20s, you know, and he wants to, you know, invite me to his wedding or his to graduations, things like that. Like, these are things I hope my son wants to do, reaches out to do for me, because, you know, the conditional support that I've had as being a parent around me has kept me from being able to be the best parent as far as I feel. But I've done the best that I can with what I've had. So, you know, a lot of you are going to say, oh, just smiling and nodding is too submissive. But in reality, this is minute. They love you, they support you. There's just one small things that they're nitpicking about, and do you want to ruin an entire relationship for that? Now, at certain aspects, you have to say no, and you have to cut that off. And I've done that with some family members, not any of my direct family, but you know, some of my uncles and cousins and aunts. I've done that, but that was because, you know, they're not that important to me. Yes, they're family, and if they choose to come back, that's their choice. But I am not going to let them say, hey, we love you, but, you know, so like, it's really more of a personal thing for you on drawing the line on whether you feel, you know, this is it. I need to cut them off, or I need to say no, or I need to sit them down and say, this is really irritating me. And I really encourage sitting people down. I have a very open relationship with my mother, and I do not hesitate to tell her how I feel anymore. And luckily, I have rebuilt that relationship so that I can do that without losing her again. But, you know, that's just a benefit that I have. But hopefully you can get those as well. I kind of rambled on in this video, but like I said, I'm dealing with this own kind of issue similar right now with being a parent, and I've been dealing with it for years and years and years. And I thought I'd talk about it because it's very similar to kind of what's going on in the outside world situation right now, whereas we see a lot of people conditionally supporting what's happening in society. And I'm not going to say anything crazy, but you guys kind of all get the idea of what I'm talking about. So we as trans people, we see that those people conditionally supporting all those things that are happening out right now, and we go, we can find them because we see that. We've seen that with us, with people being, as we've transitioned. So just keep your head out, be always looking out for yourself, and strive. Like, life goes on. Anyways, I love you guys. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, in the comments and descriptions, again, there is a live video from my Facebook channel. Go find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter, at Brittany Rose 2 on Twitter, at Brittany Rose on Facebook, and you can see some live comedy that I did last night. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Love you guys, and we'll see you guys all later. Bye bye, everybody.